Hello everyone, welcome back to Slouching Towards Bedlam. Last time we made our way into Cleve's apartment. We took the cab finally, and we got here. And now it's a question of what exactly do we do here? We've been to the place where he worked, and we're in his apartment. I guess the first step is always just to look at everything, right? So, examine flat. Okay, examine sink. Steam tubes snake through the living area to the tub and basin, and from there into the wall. The ceramics are cracked and worn to a dull gray color. Examine tub. Same message. Examine bed. We'll save the living area for the last. An old, sour-smelling thing with twisted sheets. Beneath it, the planks seem misplaced. Okay, I guess we have to look at the living area. It's the same as before. Take all. Puzzle box. Okay, there's a puzzle box somewhere. The box slides easily out of the hole. Where was that puzzle box? Look under bed. Beneath the bed, a misplaced plank can be seen, revealing a space beneath. Oh, can we go under bed? Examine space beneath. Examine misplaced plank. Examine plank. Beneath the plank is a puzzle box about the size of a book. Okay, so we examine the puzzle box. Gets a lot of order there. It's approximately the size of a large bound book. It is a puzzle box of some kind. For while it seems to have a seam along its side, there is no way to open or unlock it. The top is inscribed with a beautiful engraving of a tree. Point at puzzle box. Category, non-living tool, utility storage. Particulars. Complex mechanism detected. Engraving rating, Kabbalah, Tree of Life, Yggdrasil, button, Sephiroth. Okay, so it's connected to the writing we saw in the room where Cleve was being held. The mechanism clatters for a moment, making connections then. Sephiroth plus Kabbalah machine equals cipherist. Possible connection, cipher Malkuth and Kether. Solution Malkuth, Kether, Kether, Malkuth. So maybe this is like a parody of like adventure game puzzle solving, like how Cleve was acting in the room, thinking about this puzzle box, perhaps. And anyways, press tree. Nothing obvious happens. Okay, there we go, because it's the Tree of Life. So we press Malkuth. We press Kether. Press Kether, press Malkuth. Alright, there we go. Like, I was saying, I guess the thought I was trying to make before, too, is like how, like, Cleve was going crazy trying to solve this puzzle, perhaps, whereas we just have, triage to do all the logic for us. But yes, the button to press it, a slight click, nothing more happens for a moment, and the seam of the box opens slightly. The box appears to be unlocked and openable now. Open box. Open puzzle box. The puzzle box opens, revealing a letter, a diary, and a primitive copy of a key. Take all. Examine letter. Folded but unsealed, as apparently never sent. It reads, Brothers. Yes, I call you brothers, though due to my age and alleged lack of knowledge, you denied me entrance into your order. But as Seneca said, Nulum seculum magnus ingenis clausum est. I am proud to offer you indisputable proof that my generation is no exception. As you must well know by now, I discovered the existence and nature of your enclave during my time at the university. Excited by tenets so similar to my own, the celebration of intellect, the recognition of information as an entity rather than an idea, the embrasure and development of new technologies to unlock the mystery of the universe itself. I left my feeble schooling, gathered my few worldly possessions, and came to study at your collected feet. But trapped in your antiquated and outmoded ways, clinging more to superstition and myth rather than logic and reason. You refused me. Oh, you commended my ability to solve puzzles and patted me on the head like a dog that returned a thrown ball. You allowed me to work for one of your lesser number, mindlessly churning out one insignificant apparatus after another. A mere journeyman in your archaic system. Undeterred, I remained nearby, sitting where I could, observing in secret and working towards one goal, proving my worth and value to you. Tonight I have the rare and singular privilege to tell you that not only have I proved, beyond doubt or measure, my value, I have exceeded you. I have succeeded where you failed, and I have gone further than you ever dared dream. I have leapt the Sinroth in one bound, from Malkuth to Kether, Kytheos and Hologos. I have heard that word, brothers, echoing across eternity. I have touched the mind of God, of information pure and unsullied by the mere mind of man. My contact was brief but glorious. The brevity of it was, I'm sure, due to the crude and simple nature of your mechanisms. The resulting damage was, of course, regrettable. But once I relate to you the breadth and wonder of my experience, I think you will agree. Exodus acta probat. I eagerly await your response, brothers, of when we shall meet to discuss my entry to the Order, and our ascendance upon the wings of this discovery towards a transcendent future. Veritas Lux Mea. Cleve G. Anderson. Scientist, cipherist. Alright, well, maybe he was an adventure protagonist before this. I don't really know what to make of that. What else we got? We got the diary and the primitive copy of a key. Examine the diary. Once leather bound and elegantly stitched, the journal looks as though it has seen better days. Some pages have been scribbled over to the point of illegibility, while others have manic messages scrawled over the neat, deliberate hand originally recorded there. Many pages have been removed entirely. Okay. The diary is undated, that distinct entries can be made out. We have, I've made a copy, how full of themselves they are, I've seen the face of God. That is all I can call it. The response was, I have healed well enough, I have not left it flat. I awoke screaming, that sounds like a fun one. Everything's fallen apart, and quam terribilis et he cora. We'll quit this for now. I do want to examine the primitive copy of key. Heavy and unwieldy, its rough surface gives evidence that this key is in fact a copy. Point at primitive copy of key. Triage doesn't know. Alright. Well, I guess we will just churn through this diary today and tomorrow. So, I've made a copy. I've made a copy of Dumont's basement key. Oh, okay, well that explains the key, I guess. It is primitive, but it will serve. I've continued to listen on their little meetings, but having actual access to the equipment below will make the vast difference between theory and practice. She has mentioned the shop will be closed shortly for her little excursion to the countryside. That will be the time to move. They have their fingers in every pie imaginable, it would seem. I've heard them speak last night of some that had come close to discovering their secrets and what must be done about them. So many secrets, so little actual learning. Wait, so maybe I was wrong in assuming that, like, we are meant to be them? Or at least maybe Cleve was possessed by us, but then, like, we misinterpreted what's going on? There was a real conspiracy happening before? Because I don't know what this would be referring to. I mean, I don't know. Let's just trudge on, see what we get. How full of themselves they are. Their workspace are neatly arrayed in rows. I see now how much of their talk was simply that. They have made a most holy calling to a social club, a place of dilettantes and bored businessmen with a philosophical and mechanical bent. They have performed their ceremonies for so long that they no longer understand their true meanings. They have forgotten how to reach their sworn goals. I shall change that. My calculations are almost complete. Pages upon pages of equations and diagrams fill every corner of my room. I have taken to connecting the engines in the shop together after hours, putting my own snares and simulations. It will work. It must. I'm guessing because we have the key, I'm guessing we're going to have to sneak into Damon somehow. Like, we're going to have to distract her somehow, and then... I mean, she's kind of deaf. So, is she, maybe? Or is that just us not talking? If she is, that might be part of the puzzle. Regardless, I have seen the face of God. How powerful then their little engines, to be able to rend the veil of the temple to reveal the Holy of Holies beyond. It was with an unnatural calm that I sent the gears and knobs, aligning the energy just as my calculations demanded. It was as though my whole being knew all my toil and effort had not been in vain. I have not the words to express the joy that surged through me as I flicked the final switch. The hole appeared slowly, so slow that in first I did not understand it to be a hole. The air above the pedestal warped subtly, the air bending the light as if it were a lens. Then the warp became a bend, a break. I can't explain it, but it was in that moment that I knew I was looking onto a place fundamentally different than the universe I knew. Under my breath, I whispered the Order's motto, for that is what it had come to be. My words hung in the air a moment, drifting across the opening, to be echoed against the far wall of creation. Language fails me. The words, they echoed, yes, they returned, but they were not unchanged. Time stretched and pulled like the space above the pedestal line, and I knew in that moment my words had touched the word, the Logos. And that is all I can call it. What else can one call language given sentience? An idea that breathes, a thought that thinks itself. The whole of the space, universe beyond that rift was both its home and itself, part and whole. And then, in a joyous, horrible moment, God, the universe, the Logos, awoke. Linear time fell apart. A second, an hour, a year, an eternity. I cannot say how long it took, for the past and present and future were as one within it. The Logos had always been and would always be, and my reaching out to it in this one moment was as a grain of sand on an infinite beach. And yet it responded. In that moment, it heard me. The response was immediate and incomprehensible. I was spoken. I did not listen, I did not hear. I myself was spoken. I remembered it now as vibrations, echoing across the air, across time, and across myself. I carried them as waves, as if I were made from water or ether. They penetrated me, passed through me. In that eternal moment, I and Logos touched and were one. And then the sparks, the smoke, the machines, long overloaded, broke down one by one into a shrieking of spinning gears and twisting metal. Axles broke, machinery shifted, and then, instantly collapsing upon itself, the door I had opened slammed shut. And the force of it lifted me upward, flinging me across the room to the cellar's far wall. And for a long time I knew nothing more. I woke to find my hands and arms mysteriously burnt, the back of my head throbbing. I reached to touch it, my hand came back damp with blood. The engines were nothing more than so much melting slag. Of the whole there was no sign. Before I dragged myself up the stairs, I once more whispered the words that had brought Malkuth and Kether to the same space, and thought I heard the faintest ghost of an echo, a wash of a ripple across the air, but the rest was silence and smoke and burning metal. That's the first half of the diary. I think we'll have to save the next half to the next time. I can't say exactly I know how this fits in with my theory of the story's themes so far, which I think is a good thing. Hopefully it means there's more to this game than I anticipated once I saw it was gonna delve in like meta stuff. So often it's just like, hey, did you know that you're controlling fictional characters? And that's like the entirety of meta analysis when games incorporate those kind of themes. So I would love to see it kind of take those ideas further as I drop headphones from my desk, as the game does seem to be doing here. So I'm very much looking forward to that. But for now, I think I am going to call it here, unfortunately. And next time, we'll read the rest of the diary. So, look forward to that. And as always, thank you for watching.